Hi everyone, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend and a good last week. As you guys know, I'm just racking my memory real quick. I don't think that I got a daily video up at all last week. Mostly because you can see here on Day Traders FX, I've posted some new pictures. I have a new trading partner that is joining me for some of our trade calls. But we had a baby last week, and that was amazing. And I also did not get much trade time in. So this week we're back to our normal schedule, though. Looking forward to some good pips in the market. Again, if you would like a 5-day trial, go to daytradersfx.com and click on subscribe to 5-day free trial. And it's exactly that. It's 5 days, it's free, and it's a good little experience to join us in our live training group. Okay, quick look at everything here. U.S. market's down a little bit today, nothing too exciting. 25, 26 points down on the Dow, 5 down on the S&P. Gold's pretty flat, oil's pretty flat, just kind of nothing too exciting. So we're going to keep our eye on things. Next, we have, as far as news goes, today's been a pretty flat day. It's been a bank holiday. And so remember, we have Columbus Day and Thanksgiving in Canada. So pretty quiet across the board there. Later on today, we have a little bit of news out of New Zealand, or excuse me, out of Japan. New Zealand news has already happened. Coming into tomorrow, we have kind of an interesting week of news this week. Draghi will speak tonight at about midnight, just after midnight my time. So that'll be something interesting to keep an eye on. We've got some manufacturing production news out of the UK, and then we have some Swiss National Bank news coming up. So it's kind of an interesting week of news, but there's great opportunities. I'm glad there's not tons of choppy news coming out that's driving the market in every single direction. Should give us some good opportunities here. Okay, so euro dollar ran up, made a nice break above 129.50, and this was actually one of the very few trades that I posted to the trade group last week while I was kind of mostly out. But you can see that here was a nice break above 129.50. We had a great run up here, and it came up just shy of 130.100. In fact, our high here was about 130.70, and then it came all the way back down, and here we are bouncing on 129.50. Now, we have a decent chance to trade against this support right here, 129.50. I would look for an entry either, like a pin bar off this level right here, another bounce here, which we might get. Another double bottom would be good to buy, and a reversal candle there, or just an open above this daily pivot and trade it up into some of these upper levels here. The R1, R2 on the pivots, that'll be something to keep an eye on. But honestly, my biggest point of interest on the euro dollar is going to be more at 129.00. I'd like to buy at 129.00. I think we've got a good chance down here. We're sitting on the 200-day moving average. We've been consolidating between the 200-day moving average, and here we are bouncing off it. I'd like to get a bounce here at 129.00 and enter long here with stops pretty big-ish stops down around 128.30. So, we're talking around 70 pips on the stop, but I think we've got great potential to trade this euro dollar up into big highs. So again, a break below 129.50 could give us a nice little opportunity to short the euro dollar down into that 129.00. Otherwise, a bounce, a pin bar, rejection off 129.50 can also give us a good opportunity to trade the bounce and to kind of continue up from there. So that's another thing we'll be looking for. But what we have seen here is the euro dollar has continued to kind of make lower highs, and this isn't very optimistic for big uptrends to continue. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to, and you can see that we've got some pretty decent support and trend lines and so on at this 129.00. I still think we have a small chance of reaching 127.50, which is way down here, but that is slowly diminishing. But I think there's possibilities of something like that happening, so we're going to keep our eye out on that. But overall, long at 129.00 I think is going to be a good bet. But a break of that, we start heading into 120, 128.00, 127.50, and so on. I'm still looking at my weekly chart here, which tells me that the euro is continuing to fail at the top of this trend line right here. It ran up to the 38% from the high to the low. This is the 38% fib. Failed off that, dipped down a bunch, came right back up, and failed off of the trend channel once again. And it looks like we've got a big trend line right there that you can see on this daily chart. If this thing starts to break, we could see a much larger run down. So that's something I'm keeping my eyes on. And so that's what we want to watch for. So anyways, good entries there. Feel free to pause, rewind, and keep an eye on this video and make sure to mark those levels on your charts. Pound dollar is interesting. I don't like to trade the pound dollar much. We had a nice pin bar right here. Nice rejection off this high right after non-farm payroll, and the pair has just plummeted since. Big drop on Friday, and then a big drop right at the open of the market. Now here it sits just below support at 160.30. It's about 160.25. But here's where I think the pound dollar gets interesting. From this low to this high right here, we've had this run, consolidation run, so there really hasn't been any dips. It's just sideways, up, sideways. So from this low of the year so far, I think of the year, better double check that. Actually, just right about the low of the year, we have a nice little double bottom back there. To the high of the year, we see that our fib level, we have very nicely just in the last couple of hours opened below the 23% fib. Now, those of you that have been with me have made lots of money and lots of pips on these 23% fib breaks. When the market opens below the 23% fib, we have a very, very excellent chance of it reaching the 38% fib. So from current market price, that's about 120 pips or so, and that's something worth paying attention to. So what I would like to do on this pound dollar here, since we've opened below that 23% fib, which you can see is about 160.65, and we're about 40 pips below that, I'd like to see a little bit of retracement, get this thing running up into that daily pivot, and look for reasons to short the the pound dollar at around 160.60. Look for pin bars, look for reasons that this gets rejected off of the daily pivot and trade it on down from there. So looking to get short pound dollar around 160.60 if we get the right signal of, a nice little reversal pattern, some sort of pin bar, something that reverses this pair and takes it back down. Otherwise, if it gets above this 160.60, then it may be a bit of a wait before we get another shot at that 38% fib on the daily chart. But I think it's going to get reached, and I think we're going to see some nice dips on these pairs. Euro yen is it's kind of in a similar area as the euro dollar, lower highs, staying in the trend channel, so on and so forth. Nothing too terribly exciting. Really, the level I'm looking for on the euro yen, it's going to be all about the 100 mark, and we're at 101.50, so we're about 150 pips away. Beyond that, not super duper interested for the moment. Some short-term trades, as always, and open above this daily pivot gives us something interesting to look for, and this is around 101.75. 1 hour candle opens above that. I think we've got a good chance to trade it up into some of these further fib levels. We're bouncing off trend lines, 200-day moving averages, so on. So I think if we get above that, things could get a little bit interesting. So watch that 101.75 and that daily pivot and that open above that area for a little buying opportunity. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled for that. Aussie dollar, very interesting on the Aussie dollar. We have found support right here, resistance right here. So this support is around 101.50. This support now is around 101.85, and this resistance is about 102, just shy of, I'm going to call it 102.20. It's 102.19. So here's what I'm looking to do. If we get an open below this daily pivot, I'm shorting the Aussie dollar down into support, down into 101.50. Just a little 35 pip run, nothing too exciting, but I'm shorting it down there for about 35 pips below that daily pivot. An open on the 1 hour chart below that, I'm going into 101.50. Otherwise, we get a break above 102.20, and I'm going to look to buy this up into some of these highs here, which is around 102.75. About a 55 pip run is what I'll be looking for, and I think that's going to be a great target. So these are going to be kind of the short-term trades I'm going to be looking for right now. You can see that this buy and sell zone are about 30 pips apart, so that's not a far run either way. So look for that open below or that break above. And we should see some nice runs out of that. The Aussie dollar has reached key support right here. It has very nicely opened below key support, and it's trying to spike back up, but I think it's going to fail and give us a nice continuation down into some of these lower levels, into the 100 mark, into parity, and even below. So I'm still short Aussie dollar overall. Aussie yen, last but not least, same kind of situation here. We have a nice little trend line. You can see it clearly on the 15-minute chart. It's running up this. You can see it nicely on the 1 hour chart. We're just kind of running up this area here. I want to see an open below the daily pivot. This is around 79.75. An open below this takes us down into support. again, about a 30 pip run. Otherwise, if this continues to push higher, I may stay away from it for a moment, but you can see that in this run up, we have this little 4-hour pin bar right there. Get rid of that. A little 4-hour pin bar right there. So again, our shorts should stay. We should have stops above really about the 80 mark. I'm just going to call that 80. It's 79.98, but we'll just say 80 is where we need to have our stops above. And you can see that we've got some pretty decent opportunities there so far. So I'm going to be looking for opportunities to continue shorting this pair again with an open below the daily pivot, which is around 79, 70, 77, 75 right in there, and it's only about 10 pips away from current market price. So that's what I'm looking for. We've got some great setups, more details coming on Twitter and in the chat. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we have a great week of pipping coming up. So best of luck, guys, and I will see you in the chat.